So first of all, I want to have a look on who is actually affected by the CE conformity. And the economic operator who has the highest responsibility, most to do in this, is the so-called manufacturer. The manufacturer has an own definition in the battery regulation, so it's not mandatorily what you use in your daily speaking as a manufacturer. The manufacturer is the one who has a battery manufactured or manufactured himself the battery, and that's the most important thing, labels the battery with its own logo and markets the battery with its own logo. And he has then the responsibility to put on the CE mark, which is the biggest news we had with this regulation, that also the battery itself needs a CE mark. And the so-called manufacturer is the main responsible here. The importer or the distributor, which are also clearly defined roles in the battery regulation, they have mainly a verifying role in this, whereas there may be exemptions where also the importer takes over the responsibilities for the CE directly. There's another role in the battery regulation, that's the so-called producer, which sounds quite similar to manufacturer, but is a totally different role. The so-called producer takes over the responsibility mainly for the management of waste batteries. So we will not focus on that today. We'll focus on the left side and the CE conformity. So what is the status quo for the manufacturer? What needs to be done right now? For now, a self-declaration of conformity for each battery model is needed. In the battery regulation, it's the so-called Module A. And the manufacturer can attach himself the CE mark to the battery relying on his own assessment. So what does it concretely mean for you? If you are a so-called manufacturer, what do you need to do? You have to set up an adequate technical documentation demonstrating the compliance of the affected articles, set up the declaration of conformity, and attach the CE mark to the battery. So that's all in a nutshell. I just mentioned that you have to set up a technical documentation with the affected articles. What does affected articles mean? So there are different battery categories, and depending on the category that your battery goes in, you have different articles that you need to fulfill. The articles that you see here in light blue